let's explain some important guiding principles that we believe are critical to effectively managing challenging behaviors. We must recognize and believe that children aren't being bad on purpose. They may have learned some inappropriate or undesirable ways to cope with a challenge, such as throwing a tantrum to get their way, but no child wants to misbehave. They need guidance and support, not punishment. Very young children are using the resources they have in their developing brains and bodies to cope with stress and strong feelings. Feelings aren't the problem, it's what children, and we ourselves, do with the feelings that can become problematic. One of our key responsibilities is to help young children navigate the tide of strong emotions and desires they are experiencing in ways that are pro-social and will help them thrive. This is no small feat, given that most children under 3 or 4 years old don't have much self-control, due to the fact that the frontal lobe still has much more development to take place. Even after this age, self-control is still very much a work in progress. This is because the areas of the brain that underlie self-regulation are not fully mature until early adulthood. The first step in helping children develop strong problem-solving and coping skills is managing our own emotions. Working with young children can be emotionally charged. We adore and care about them deeply, but sometimes their behaviors are truly maddening, challenging our own ability for self-control. Tuning into our own emotions and reactions is the first critical step to maintaining our own self-control and using our own coping skills. We are only human and therefore have human reactions to emotionally charged situations, and we have different hot buttons or triggers. What one caregiver finds challenging, another enjoys. Recall our discussion about goodness of fit between caregivers and children? Some providers love kids who are cuddly and maybe a little clingy, while others cringe in the face of this kind of behavior. Some providers love feisty kids, while others find them maddening. What's important is that you know what pushes your buttons. Your own self-awareness is one of your greatest assets in nurturing young children's healthy development. So what do you do in the moment when you get triggered by a child's behavior? For example, a child gets upset when it's time to make a transition from one activity to another. What can you do? You can remain calm. Come down to the child's eye level and help her get calm. This will soothe her limbic system. Keep children safe from each other, eventually helping them to engage the functions of their frontal lobe once they are calm, to use their words to process and learn from the experience. This approach improves the children's ability to resolve their own conflict. The take-home message: your feelings and reactions matter a lot. Staying calm is critical because highly charged emotional reactions can be obstacles to helping children get calm and learn important coping skills. The child's limbic system gets triggered and his brain floods with stress hormones, which results in a strong emotional reaction. The child's brain gets even more flooded with emotion when the adults caring for him lose it alongside him. An out-of-control adult increases children's stresses, which has a negative effect on his ability to cope. And when we are really revved up, we can't think clearly and engage our own frontal lobes to provide the calm support the child needs. When we flip our lids, like the neuroscientist Dan Siegel described it, our ability to regulate our emotions, to think, and to reason, all those higher-level thinking processes in the cortex, go out the window, and the limbic system takes over. We're all emotion and reaction, which rarely leads to a good outcome for the child or for us. By contrast, when we keep calm, we can begin to observe and problem solve. First, we observe. What has caused this difficulty to come about? What's going on that has led to this problem? Then we problem solve. What are the options I should consider? What is likely to work with this child, given her temperament? What is possible to do in this environment? So what are some ways to calm ourselves when we've been triggered and flipped our lid, reacting from our primitive versus more advanced brain? Here are some appropriate responses. Deep Breathing relieves stress and anxiety because it causes the brain to release neurohormones that counteract stress-producing hormones. These neurohormones trigger a relaxation response in the body. Self-talk can be an effective calming strategy. Remind yourself that the child isn't acting out on purpose, that she's having a hard time coping and needs your support, and that anger, annoyance, rejection, and shame will all likely increase the child's negativity and make it less likely that she will learn good coping skills. Research shows that self-talk activates the cerebral cortex responsible for thought, as well as the amygdala, the locus of fear, and provides some emotional distance from the situation. The research concludes that in children and adults, for example, psychological distancing strategies enhance people's capacity to exert self-control when faced with tempting options in the short term. Another option is to engage the help of another adult. This is seen as a strength, not a weakness, to know your limits and ask for help when needed. So what to do when challenging behavior occurs? Here are some guiding principles that can help you remain present and loving while positively guiding children's behavior. As we've discussed, do what you need to stay calm, even in the face of children's sometimes provocative and maddening behavior. Your mood is contagious. There's lots of research that confirms this. The calmer you are, the greater the chance the child will calm more quickly. In addition, the calmer you are, the better able you are to observe what is happening and to consider options for responding before taking action. Have a plan for how you will respond in these situations, as reacting emotionally in the moment rarely leads to positive outcomes for parent or child. Here are some ideas for shaping your plan. Validate the child's feeling. Remember, it's not the feelings that are the problem. It is what kids do with the feelings that could be a problem. The more children are aware of and talk about their feelings, the more control they ultimately have over them. Consider a situation in which a child pushes the child ahead of him in line for the slide out of the way so he can be next. You might say with lots of empathy, "I know you love going down the slide, and it's hard to wait." Speaking in this manner gives the child an awareness that what he's feeling is being understood by the adult in charge, which is very important to the child. Then you set the limit. But it's not okay to push our friends out of the way. That's against our rule that we wait our turn. It helps to make everything about rules, which are concrete and not personal. They apply to everyone. It is also important to explain the reason for the rule and the broader value it accomplishes, such as everybody having a turn. In the end, you hope that children will understand and comply with the rules and adopt the values that underlie them. It's important to implement this very matter-of-factly without shaming or annoyance or anger. This makes it easier for the child to take in what you're saying. Feeling shamed is very overwhelming for children, and it makes them shut down or lash out further. Allow space for recovery. If a child is so distressed that she can't cope at all and has a total meltdown, she needs a break. Have a space in your home. Some call it a peace place or a cozy corner, where kids can go to calm down. The strategy is meant to provide comfort, not punishment, and is implemented lovingly. You're so upset that you're having a hard time staying in control. Time for a break in the cozy corner so you can be safe while you calm down. Once a limit is set and a child is having a hard time coping with it, the focus is on helping him get calm. There's no need for shaming or punishing, which only revs children up more, making it harder to calm down and learn from the experience. It can also have a negative effect on their growing sense of self. Debrief when the child is calm. Use the experience as a learning opportunity once the child is calm. Children can't process and learn when they've flipped their lid. They're functioning from the reactive part of the brain and need to be calm before they have access to the functions of their frontal lobe. Wait to talk through the behavior until the children are calm again. It's important to consider when it is time to take a closer look at a child's behavior to assess whether there is something foundational going on that might require intervention. One important cue is when you see a marked change in a child's behavior. For example, a typically outgoing, gregarious child becomes suddenly withdrawn, or a child who previously had attained some important developmental milestones shows consistent regression. Another important indicator is when the behavior is interfering in a child's ability to learn, develop healthy relationships, and function effectively in the classroom. For example, this might be the difference between a child who is temperamentally slow to warm up, but adjusts once she feels safe and comfortable, and a child who consistently and actively avoids all interaction with peers. Finally, it is important to take note if a child is experiencing multiple problems. For example, a child may be having difficulties getting along with other children in the classroom, but then wetting the bed at night after not having done so for a long time. The combination of problems is more concerning than either one taken alone. It is important to consult with others when interpreting a child's behavior and considering its causes. Sometimes another adult can provide different perspectives and ideas that would not occur to you alone. It is important to have a list of local resources that provide developmental and behavioral services, such as psychologists, social workers, occupational, speech, and physical therapists, and early intervention programs. It is ideal to have the clinician who will be assessing the child do an observation in the classroom so she can see how the child functions in this group setting, which is often quite different from his behavior at home.